King Productions presents the BearDown Corner with your host, Sergeant Cornholio. Hey everybody, this is the BearDown Corner and I am your host, Sergeant Cornholio. Welcome in for another exciting week of football talk. We got State of the Division on tap for you today. AFC South is on tap today. So we'll be talking about the Texans. We'll be talking about the Titans. We'll be talking about the Jaguars. And of course, we actually forgot about them a little. The Colts. Like, there's some disarray in this division, and we're going to break it down for you, along with some around the league news, a couple little stories, and some catch up. So let's just dive right into it. The Colts. Indianapolis Colts. All right. So their season last year did not go as planned. Joe Flacco had to come in midway through the beginning of the season. They benched the young starter, and they don't get it done. They have talent at wide receiver. There's no doubt about that. They have Alec Pierce, a capable, usually third, fourth stringer that can put up a 100-yard game like it's nothing, right? He's a talented kid. You move your way along the line. Josh Downs, another talented kid. He became, I think, their number one or number two. And old, rusty, reliable Michael Pittman, like, you can't forget about him. They have three solid wide receivers, Jonathan Taylor at running back, and not really have to do much to tweak the O-line other than tell those big boys to get their shit in order. Okay? That O-line a few years ago was one of the top ones in the league. They were only missing a quarterback. So where do they go? They go and draft Anthony Richardson, right? Okay, he's our savior. Defense is playing subpar. We can get by with it. Draft a few players. They just never reach that potential. So now they go out. They sign Daniel Jones to a heavily incentivized one-year contract, right? Kickstart Anthony Richardson a little. You know, we're going to bring some competition in. He's a former starter. He can be reliable. Now, do I see Daniel Jones as a proper starter in this league? No, he's a gap bridge quarterback at this point in his career, unless he learns from his mistakes and makes that next step in his career. So I don't necessarily see this being the kick in the ass Anthony Richardson is going to need to take that next step. I think if they do, it's because this kid sits down, slows the game down in his head, uses that football IQ he does have. He does possess it. I think the game is just moving a little bit too fast for him. So if he can slow it down that little bit, do your simple dip offs, you know, you already know how to read the X's and O's. View a little bit more defensive coverage then. Like, there you can always improve, right? I don't see the Colts being a playoff team this year. I have them pegged as like a mid-tier team because, you know what, they're wide receiver. Like I say, offensively, they have talent. Joe Flacco showed that. Like he did the year before with the Browns. He did that this year with the Colts. He came in, he played Big Dick Joe and was fucking slinging the ball around like he was 20 again. And then he had some bad games, and then they threw Richardson in again. So, I don't know. I don't see the Colts being a playoff team. I think they made some moves. Their big signings this offseason. Former DB Charvarius Ward from the San Francisco 49ers, right? Their former DB. And Cam Binham, the safety out of Minnesota. 26 and 28 respectively, I think their ages are. So they cash in while obviously the team is figuring out, you know, long-term quarterback. Because I don't think they enact that fifth year on Richardson. Because I think they have to do that this upcoming year too. So the Colts will at best, with the defensive movement and upgrades and the quarterback fire in the ass and the talent they already got, will be a mid-tier team, and they won't go no further. They won't make playoffs. Next, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, let's talk Jacksonville here quick. I don't know if their moves are going to justify in the eyes of the fans by the movements they've made. They haven't really done a whole hell of a lot. In fact, here's how much they've done. You want to know what my notes are? They released Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and a few other vets, cut some cap costs and that. The 10 signings I read on, throughout the articles that I came across, the 10 guys I had written down, I just scrapped when I did my final notes. And I was like, the only one I recognize there on is backup quarterback Nick Mullins. The rest are possible starting guys, right? Maybe if you're in a pinch, but I think they're mostly top level, backups, right? At best. I think the big thing for them is going in and getting another draft haul of talent. Young guys, right? They have some vets in there enough. But I think the saving grace for the Jaguars is hiring Liam Cohen. And let me tell you why. Liam, in the last 2 seasons or so, with Baker Mayfield, all right? He turned Baker Mayfield into Tom Brady's fucking successor in Tampa Bay. Now, pardon talent to Baker Mayfield, but pardon talent to Liam gaining that whatever the hell with his quarterback, right? He was the quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. If he can do that with Trevor Lawrence and sit Trevor down and be like, all right, bro, we're connected now. I'm your head coach. You're my quarterback, dude. So here's the deal. I want us to create this, let's build something together. And if Cohen can't squeeze the last bit of fucking juice out of that hippie-haired fucking Trevor Lawrence, who looks like a girl, not that matters, because it doesn't. I don't care. But dude, you're not Fabio. He can play. But God, he was making some awful decisions last year, though. On the games I would see, because I had Tank Bigsby and a couple other players from that team on my fantasy teams, and watching though that they're not far off. They're not. Some defensive help would be great, but if you're hoping for some igniting the fire by the offense, you already have that. You already had that last year. They can score that last year. Travis Etienne didn't have a repeat season, but they're kind of going more to a running back by committee with Tank Bigsby in the backfield, and they got that other kid who's even better at receiving than both of them. I just don't remember his name, but they got 3 running backs. They got a straight up the middle guy in Tank. They got this other dude at receiver back up, and then they got Travis Etienne that can do a little bit of everything. The O-line isn't horrible. They just gotta execute that little bit more. They're not far off. They just got to execute that a little bit more. Yeah, you know what? I don't see Cohen going in and being the hero to the extent that they are a bottom barrel team. But I think they'll still be like a, 7-10, fucking 8-9, whatever. They might be in the hunt for the playoffs. All right? They might be the team that actually gives Houston a run for their money. That's what I'll say the Jaguars, but I still say no playoffs. Oh, that one's on the floor. Let's talk Titans. Number 1 overall draft pick in this year's draft. The Titans enter with questions at quarterback. So we got a list of all these additions and subtractions for their defense. They had a defensive overhaul, right? Harold Landry, Chidube Awuzie, DB, Kenneth Murray, linebacker, Quandre Diggs, I think he was another pass rusher, and Kenneth Murray. Oh no, Kenneth Murray twice. Sorry, I had multiple articles I was reading from my sources here, trying to put and piece this together, but either way, those are some names in their own, right? They're all starters, and they're all very capable starters if the system allows it. Now, they go out and they replace that with not like blow me up names, but names nonetheless that have NFL experience, are still going to fit the mold for what you want, because that's what I believe they did here with these signings. Cody Barton, everywhere he's gone, he's played double-digit games in a season for them and usually leads the team in tackling. Okay? He's a solid line-to-line guy. He'll at least finish the play, right? They're not going to get past a certain line. Xavier Woods, safety, DB Jarvis Brown, lead junior, and defensive end Dramont Jones. Probably most recognizable name on that list. Sorry, man, my throat is all over the place today. So, they kind of do like the add subtraction thing, right? They have some big names on defense already. Offense really isn't that far off either. Offensive line is still solid. Really, it is quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, because I believe they've done enough adding and subtracting for the Callahan administration to really sink their teeth into this season, as this is what we came here to do. If our shit's going to work, it's going to be this year. Now, might have to do that with a rookie quarterback, but hey, you know what? If you draft the quarterback based for your system, no ifs, ands, or buts, right? You should at least see some improvement. Just give me some improvement, and we'll give you another year, Callahan. That's really all they need, because you got a 2 to 3 back system with Tyler J. Spears, Tony Pollard. He is a decent running back. The offensive line is still solid. Lewan leads that squad. Wide receiver, you got Calvin Ridley. He is a talented wide receiver, man, but he can't do it all. You got to get that man some help. And that's probably what they're going to do in the draft. Who knows? Maybe they pull a blockbuster. Hear me out on this. Because I know the New York Giants have been questionable on their commitment to, this is coming from like around the league shit. So their GM, right? They hold the 3rd pick, 4th pick, whatever it is. In a draft where with the other teams where they're at might want to trade up or down because their needs at quarterback might overshadow. So what if the Titans trade up? They use their number 1 pick, right? But then they trade up again to get Travis Hunter, DB wide receiver, Colorado State. Or you trade up for Sherrod Sanders. Either or. I don't give a shit. The team combo of Sanders and Hunter go to Tennessee. That would be one for you. That would like instantaneously, okay, put on my radar anyway, Tennessee as we're at least contending for division this year. This year, we're contending for division. If they go and pull off a trade-up scenario and get the tandem of the two. And I'm pretty sure they got the draft capital to do it. And if you're the Callahan and whoever the Ballard's, scenario, or no, not Ballard. Whoever the hell their GM is. Anyway, if you're those two, right? This is kind of a bit of a make or break a year. Because, you went out and got players, right? The names I read off earlier, they're going to fit the mold to obviously whatever their culture is and whatever their system is. Offensively, he still has everyone that he wanted to bring in and stuff, because he brought these guys in last year too, right? He helped with the signing of Tony Pollard. So he got his running back, right? So now it's time to put it together. Make your chess pieces move. Make them fit. I don't think they're going to make playoffs, and they'll probably be like, I don't know, mid-tier kind of deal, right? Mid-16, 17 league, Titans. They'll build for the future. They'll be set, but I think you're not going to see a one and done or one to first or whatever the hell it is. They could win division. They could push division. But I think even with the Sanders and a Hunter, there's something tells me there's going to be struggles. Just enough. And it would be in the O-line. If you're to go over all the strengths, the O-line is at the bottom there if you're doing which one is ranked where. So, yeah. Let's keep an eye on those Titans and see how they may or may not shock people. Houston Texans. All right. Straight up, they're my divisional pick with, of course, that question mark if that hypothetical takes place. What can we say about the Houston Texans? They're doing everything right that they can to be competitive, to win their division, to try and make it past the second round, and everything in between. So their big stuff this offseason, traded Laramie Tunsil, right? All-pro little tackle. He's out. Cam Robinson is basically in. He'll be the stopgap between him and the next young kid they bring in. I actually think they'll probably draft a lineman. They'll probably just draft the replacement at the draft. That, or you could always just draft in later rounds this kid. Shit, I can't even remember his name now. Harrison something. 485 pounds. It was brought to my knowledge today. I didn't even know about this kid. But while I was walking with my buddies there at the dog park, they were telling me about this. We didn't even know. I thought he was a lineman, honestly. But then we find out he's like a defensive tackle. This kid's like 6'8", 485. Runs a goddamn 5'9" for his 40 time. And he's just a wall. He's a fucking wall. Like, he could be... There's so much potential in that. Right? Like, hell, Mark and Frazier thought, like, holy shit, this dude is just... Oh, come here. I'll swallow wall. Right? Like, what if... Maybe Houston takes the reigner on this kid, right? Apparently, projections have him listed going like on day 3 to being all the way to undrafted, which to me is absolutely crazy. I'm using one of my draft picks if I see this kid on the board in later rounds. Like, honestly, I'll spend a 4th on him. I'd spend a 4th or a 3rd. That is like, he might even jump up on certain draft boards, depending on what they're drafting for. But if you, like, he might be the steal of this year's draft. You do not, his wingspan, well, what the hell were we talking? I'm pretty sure, like, it's one of me for sure. Plus, probably 2 of me. This dude's wingspan, from arm to arm. Just the thought of it, it's just like an endless black hole, and he's eating everything. But anyway, to move along with the Texans, Tunsil traded. They signed Sheldon Rankins and C.J. Gardner-Johnson for their big signings in free agency. All right, so they also re-signed Stingley. And who's the other extension they gave to? Danielle Hunter after his 1-year deal. You got Collins, Stroud, Joe Mixon, and Will Anderson all signed through at least 2026. Like, You have a core to compete for this year and next and further. And they are doing smart moves in the fact, if you look at it from the business aspect, yeah, Tunzel is actually technically in a prime 5-year stint or longer, depending on how he takes care of his body. But Trent Williams, as an example, from the 49ers, when he got traded from Washington to there. Tunzel trade does hurt in the fact of losing that All-Pro, but Cam Robinson is capable, all right? And you're going to have certain weaknesses on your team every year. But here's the deal. With that loss of him, you've now just set yourself up, because they moved the money from him to Stingley, okay? You have Stingley, who's playing at an all-pro level, 24-year-old. The man might as well be a goddamn Darrelle Revis right now. Okay? And those who remember Darrelle Revis, well, let's just say he's in the Hall of Fame now. Dude, I remember watching his career. Revis Island, you weren't getting off. Stingley Island, you're not getting. They are doing all the right things to prop themselves for a possible Super Bowl and more. And here's why I say this. I feel, this is my opinion. I feel that Kansas City, okay, here's the Dick Hank rant of the week. We'll keep it quick. The Kansas City Chiefs won't be that ultimatum dominant force as to they once were. They'll probably still be in the AFC title games or in that whole mix, but I feel a turning of the tide. Because it only had to be one team that beat them. And Philly did that for us. All right? They took the championship this year. And with that, they shifted a tide. Now, maybe it's Philly's time, right? Maybe they go and repeat, right? We talked Philly last week. What can I say? I think Kansas City's time's over. I could see Houston being one of those mantled teams, along with the Bills and the Ravens. It's time for them to take their next step. And I believe the Houston Texans are one of those teams. So my vote is, regardless of the Sherrard, Shader, and Hunter, they're going to give them a run for their money, but this is Houston's division. This is Houston's division like Tom Brady owned the AFC East for a goddamn quarter of a fucking, a decade and a half or whatever it was, a decade worth. Right? Decade and a half, actually. Yeah, he terrorized that entire division for the whole 2000s and even most of the fucking 2010s. Actually, pretty much all of the 2010s. Almost 2 decades. He terrorized that division. Now it's Houston on the freaking AFC South. This is their division until someone wants to rip it from their goddamn throats. D'Amico Ryans has this squad pumped. And as an overall NFL fan, I'm excited for them. I'm excited to watch this team. I love Nico Collins, man. I'm looking at fucking Mixon as on my draft boards this year, if I can get him. Like, if he stays healthy, and I know they shifted some O-line in Houston, but here's the deal. Houston has a certain sway to them that as long as they can learn to push through their funks, they'll be just fine. You seen it in the later half of last year. They just kind of knew that they were going to get it. Still tried, but they still lost the important ones. Right? The primetime ones, whatever the fuck it was. There were so many games they lost. They lost to Detroit when they had 5 turnovers. Fuck. I remember that game. That was a fun game. But I don't think I don't think they lose it this year. I think they go a step further. I will say they end up in the AFC title game. Now, I will throw a question mark on there as well, though. Because I see them going at least that far. At least that far. I think they take that next step this year and get at least that far in this year. I think they have a better record than they did last year, too. Because Christian Kirk on third down, the talented wide receiver that Jacksonville let go, if he's limited in his touches and the amount of hits he takes, which he won't be one or two on the depth chart. It's Collins. It's fucking, what the hell's his name? My man, Tank Dell. Number 2, Tank Dell. Collins, Tank Dell, and then it'll be Christian Kirk this offseason. He'll be number 3. Or he might even get pushed to 4. Because they got some other talented boys over in that wide receiver corps too. Stephon Diggs was just an add-on last year, right? He was the experiment. But honestly, losing Diggs to the Patriots, see you, man. We're fine without you. We don't need you. We're building something long term. This is part of their window right now. Okay? So Diggs was a failure last year. We've seen them still reach the second round. No different than the year before. They're doing things a little differently. But they're making smart moves. I think they're ready to take that next step with their already in-house talent. Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Joe Mixon in a full regular season worth of games, or at least the important ones, right? Like, they're fine. I think Houston is in the AFC title game, possibly even Super Bowl, depending on who they play. Yeah. I think if they play the Chiefs, right, if it's that scenario, I think they beat the Chiefs. But if it's against the Bills, I think the Bills take that one. I think if it's against the Ravens, that one would be a toss-up for me. But as long as Mark Andrews ain't fumbling it in the end zone at the end of the game on the 2-point con, you'll be just fine, Mr. Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and all them. Which we will lead into the Around the League news with the announcement of a 3-year extension for John Harbaugh. Yep. He signed a 3-year extension that will keep him through 2028. So congratulations, head coach John Harbaugh. And in the conclusion of State of the Division this week, that is the AFC South. Division winner will be Houston, and I pegged them going into like top 4 territory this year. Yeah, that's part 4, ladies and gentlemen. Part 5 will be next week, and we will continue with your Around the League news. Russell Wilson signed a 1-year, heavily incentivized contract with the New York Giants this last week. I think that's why the Giants are less likely to maybe draft a quarterback this year, because they went out and got Russ. They got out and got Jameis Winston. Do you really draft a quarterback even though you got Tommy DeVito on the roster still? Like, honestly, and I hate to say it because that means Malik Neighbors, possibly Travis Hunter. They might just keep that number 4 pick and draft that boy. They might not even let that whole trade scenario happen. The New York Giants have many questionable moves to make a quarterback, and I don't see them making the foregone conclusion towards drafting one this year. So I think that sets up many possibilities, but they might even settle on a trade where they draft that defensive end too. That big boy, Abdul Carter, a little disruptor. People have him pegged in number 1 though. So NFL draft coming up. Yes. It's going to be a fun new influx of talent. You learn all the new names. Oh yeah, we'll be learning on all these wonderful kids. Yeah. Texans. Keenan Allen from the Bears last offseason. He might be reuniting with the Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah. A recent tweet put out by Mike Williams, who re-signed up for a 1-year deal, said, yo, bro, wanna run it back, right? Go give the Chargers a boost up. Honestly, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see it. Mr. Jim Harbaugh, the brother to John, right? He has that squad up and running. He has his old running back, Najee Harris. I think J.K. Dobbins is still on the open market. And then you got Justin Herbert. Like, he's got to take that leap at some point, right? He's got to take that leap at some point to help push that team to the next level. I don't know, man. The stories and times and trial and tribulations that we gather by watching football is amazing because it just all happens naturally. I love it. Yeah, there's not really much else. We talked about Stephon Diggs signing with the Pats, Russ going to the Giants. Russ, you know what? You were a hell of a quarterback as a Seahawk. It was kind of a twist arm situation in Denver, I guess you can say. And then Pittsburgh, I don't know. I'm kind of questionable on you at this point, only because you had it and then the team just dropped. I don't know. It's like defense didn't show up to play as a week in, week out all-star caliber defense that they can be, that we know them to be, right? And then you guys lose your last 5 and lose your playoff. Like, I don't know, man. I wish better for you. Wish better. Yeah, that pretty much sums up around the league. So, that's it. That's all. That is your Around the League news, brought to you by the BearDown Corner and myself, Sergeant Cornholio. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the BearDown Corner. We are available on all your podcasts, wherever they are listened to, and you can catch us at YouTube, where we are also available. We release Tuesday mornings at 6 o'clock General Mountain Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. You all have yourselves a wonderful night. I'm Sergeant Cornholio, and we will catch you on the next week's episode of the BearDown Corner. BearDown Productions presents the BearDown Corner with your host, Sergeant Cornholio.